Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel today. Guys, I'm going to talk about something that I promised I was going to for quite some time now, and that's about this little beauty you see here. This is my 12-volt oven. It's called a Travel Buddy, Australian manufactured from a mob down in Melbourne. So stay tuned. Tonight we're going to cook a roast dinner, beef roast. So there's my Travel Buddy. So of course it's a 12-volt oven. So I've got it plugged into my 120 amp AGM battery that's sitting in a battery box and behind the passenger seat. So what I've done is these things tend to work better if you get the voltages up a little bit over 13 volts. So I've got the electric battery charger on at the moment, so it's giving the battery a charge. So the battery's sitting over about the 13.5, 13.6 volts, which is ideal. Now in saying that, it's not that they won't work if they're only on about 12.8 or 12.5 volts. It's just that they don't put the heat out as much, so they tend to get a little bit warmer, these 12-volt ovens, if you've got just over that 13 volts. So what we're going to do now is we're going to preheat it. So first thing, this is the tray that I'm going to use. So I've showed you these trays. So there's a video that I filmed not too long ago about these trays. So this is my preference. This is my favourite tray that I use for cooking the roast. And then what we do, we need to preheat the oven. So we're going to turn it on. So I'll turn it on up to maximum. So it's got a thermometer here, goes from 75 through up to, and now we'll turn it on. So the Travel Buddy has got a timer, but it's also got a run mode. So at the moment I'll set on the timer, but I can easily put on the run mode, and then when it's on run mode it'll just stay on until you switch it off. The timer's a good thing to use, not only just in case if you forget about it and leave it on, it'll switch off after the 2 hours, but also if you're traveling along by car, you don't have to pull over and turn your oven off. So the beauty is with this, yes, you can cook while you're actually driving along. So you could cook up a meal, a roast meal, anything you can cook in the oven at home, you can basically cook in one of these. So what we'll do now, we'll go and prepare the roast, and I'll show you how I do that. So the roast we're going to cook today is this nice piece of beef roast you see here. So I'll just pick this up at the butcher's. I just prepare very simple. If the meat's really nice and fresh, I like to use a rub. So it's a Pitt Brothers brand. Okay, it's a rosemary, lemon and sea salt rub. This goes really, really good with beef roasts. However, I don't know if I've got enough. So if you have a look there, hopefully that's focusing. I don't think that's enough, but I do have some of these. Now these rubs, I've recently won in a cooking competition. One of the pieces that I cooked in the wood-fired oven, I won these rubs, and they come from Dan and Steph. So those in Australia will know who Dan and Steph is. Approximately 5 years ago, they won the My Kitchen Rules, and they've opened up a restaurant in Hervey Bay. So Dan and Steph, if you're watching this, cheers. I love the rub. I haven't got back to them to let them know what I think of the rub yet, so I haven't had them for long. My favourite, I mean these are really nice, but my favourite's this one. I love this barbecue meat spice rub. So what we might do today is we'll use some of this on this nice piece of beef. So these are all the ingredients in the roast that we're going to use to prepare now. So what I like to do now, I've got some good quality olive oil. So we're going to mix some of this Dan and Steph's from the Eat Restaurants barbecue meat spice rub. Now it's not very spicy, this stuff. So this is Dan and Steph's own secret recipe. So I think he's got some ingredients on here, but not all of them. It's got onion powder, garlic powder, dried secret herbs and spices, our own secret recipe. And it's gluten free for those who need to know. Now I don't think this is enough, but actually that might be enough there. So I just like to mix it up with a bit of oil. Now you don't have to do this. You can just sprinkle some, put some oil over the top and just sprinkle some of that over the oil. And then what we'll do shortly is brush that on. But I think I need a bit more oil, so I'm just going to grab some more oil. And we'll add a bit more of this nice rub. So it's got a really nice barbecue flavour in this. I particularly like it with pork. It's really nice with pork. I haven't tried it on the beef thus far. So this will be a first time. Okay. So we'll just grab the roast there. Hopefully that's in focus for you. It's a beautiful, nice piece of cut of roast this. This will be perfect on my little Ozpit. For those that don't know what an Ozpit is, it's a battery operated spit as such. It runs on 2 D-size batteries. So we don't need it too thick, as you can see. We don't want it too strong. Now this roast is prepared really well from the butcher's, so it's really dry. Normally I like to make sure the roast is fairly dry, pat with the paper towels, but this one here is perfectly prepared. So this is something that you can easily prepare if you pull over the side of the road for your lunch, or you're travelling during the day. You can have this prepared early in the morning, and at lunch you can pull it out your fridge and just put it in your travel buddy oven, and then arrive at camp to a beautifully cooked roast meal at camp. Now how's that look? I think that looks pretty good, but I'm going to make it a little bit stronger. I'm going to use a bit more because I really do like this, and as I mentioned before, it's not really, even though it does say it's spicy, and believe me guys, I don't like spicy food that's too spicy. So, and this is just really mild, so I'll leave that there so you can have a look as I prepare that. But I just want a bit more just on the side here. Okay, we'll just leave that sit there for a while. Now the ideal is to let this marinate. So what I should have done is I should have probably marinated this as soon as I got home. That's ready now to place into this one here. That's a 1.3 kilo piece of roast. So the height, you have to be wary of the height. I went and checked and this just barely fits in. So width, as you can see, is no problem, it's just the height. But what we're going to do later is we'll put some veggies around here, or for the sake of this video, I might just cook them in the oven. So we'll see how we go. But you can cook veggies in here. So veggies is something you want to start cooking before you cook your roast, depending on the size of the roast. Because particularly with potatoes do take quite some time to cook inside this travel buddy. Now another device I like to use to aid in cooking the roast, which makes it a lot easier so you don't have to guess the time, how long it takes, and to cook it to perfection. I like to use like what's called a little Bluetooth thermometer. I've got one here in my drawer, so I'll just grab it and show you. So this here, what's inside here is called a meter. Thermometer, it's M-E-A-T-E-R. What you see here, this little wooden box is a charge station. Okay, so it charges in here, so there's like a little AA battery in here, and you can check if the battery is fully charged or not by pressing this button, and it's got a green light there, so it's actually charged, so it's on charge at the moment. So what we'll do with that is we'll put that into the meat just before we start cooking, and there's a Bluetooth app you can download, and through that Bluetooth app it monitors the temperature of the meat as it's cooking, but it also gives you an external temperature as well. So it's got both an internal and it monitors the external temperature. It's got a graph, and it's also got a warning. It lets you know when it's ready to cook, and it'll tell you when to remove the steak for resting. So you can choose in the app. You can choose, it's got all the different types of meals, the roast and so on, or you can customize it. I like to use Fahrenheit. Okay, so I've got mine set on Fahrenheit, and I tend to set it on about 150 Fahrenheit, thereabouts, when I'm cooking the beef. So now it's time to prepare the veggies. While my Travel Buddy 12-volt oven is warming up, I'm going to prepare the veggies, and then we'll go back to the back of the car and put my roast inside the car. So these veggies today, I'm going to actually cook them inside the oven in the house, but you can cook these in your Travel Buddy oven as well. But generally you want to start cooking these probably an hour or so before you start cooking the roast. So you start on these and then add the roast. So I've got some potatoes here. Now quick plug here for these zebra knives, guys. Let you have a closer look. These are zebra knives. These are excellent knives. They are as sharp as a razor blade. And where you can get them from? One guess? Drifter. Drifter, of course, imports them from over in Thailand, I think it is. I actually got one here. I haven't even opened out the packet. Brilliant knives. One of my favourites, this one. And Drifter also make these leather pouches for them. So, and believe me, you need them because these are so sharp. They're like razors. But we're going to use the big one today, the big mama. So we'll just cut these potatoes are not very big, so I'm just kind of cut them in half in one piece. Got some sweet potatoes here. Got some zucchini, not zucchini, sorry, these are carrots. And last but not least, we'll cut up a couple of pieces of pumpkin. Now I add them in this bowl because I can make a bit of a mess. So what I'll do now is put some olive oil in. This is my preference, how I like to cook the roast. I think it's traditional. I think that's how Italians do it. Now I've got some Pitt Brothers barbecue lamb rub. I find this lamb rub actually tastes nicer with veggies, my preference, than it does on lamb. So I don't add too much. It's pretty strong. So we'll just mix that up. Of course you add it to your preference. I'll bring the camera over and show you a close-up too. And then just to finish it off, just a tad of salt. And pepper. Now I did this a couple of nights ago, and I'll tell you what, it's tasted really, really nice, this combination. So hopefully you can see that. Okay, it's probably a try to focus on me, but if I put this the same plane, so that's what the veggies look like. So they'll go in the roast soon. So they'll go in the oven soon. Now, let's go put this roast in my Travel Buddy oven. Guys, you got to see this roast. It looks extraordinary. It's just marinating so nicely. I hope you can see that. How's that? So, as I mentioned before, now that's nice and warm now. That's really hot. So what we'll do now is this thermometer, we need to get that's the point, that point there is where it takes the internal temperature. Now there's a mark here, so that mark, you have to make sure those who own these meter thermometers, Bluetooth thermometers, they're magic, but to make sure they last and look after them, make sure you never have that. There's a little mark here inscribed in there, just at the end of my index finger there. Make sure that's fully inserted inside the meat, okay? Don't have that exposed because you can ruin your thermometer. So now we need to find a spot where we can get this inside the meat, about halfway. So you can see there. All right, I've made sure I've got that mark. Now on the outside here, what you can see there, just to there, that's where it measures the external temperature. Okay, so it'll tell us what the temperature is. So we're going to put this in the oven now. Just fits. Barely fits. I'm probably going to have to give that a good clean later, but that's all right. It's stainless steel, easy to clean. So I'll go grab my tablet now. I like to use my tablet. So my main unit that I use connected to this is a tablet. It's not actually through my mobile phone, and I'll show you why I use two devices to record. I've got the meter app. So if you can see that there. So I've connected. Updated meter is available. Okay, just bear with me. I will update this. But while that's updating, I mentioned before that I like to use two devices, and the reason being why is because I've got the earlier version, the first one that came out of the meter probe, and it doesn't have a very big Bluetooth range. They say 3 meters. But basically 3 meters is if it's out in the open, but as soon as you place it inside the oven, then that severely restricts the range. So unless you're basically within 3 meters of the probe, you can't monitor it. So you can use two devices and piggyback them off each other. So as long as you're connected to the same Wi-Fi network, so you have to, the two devices have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi network. Then I can have this set up next to my oven, and then I could be anywhere in the world. Not only is this giving me a range further than 3 meters, I can be anywhere in the world. I could send you a link. You could be halfway the other side of the world. I'm in Australia. You could be on the other side of the world. I could send you a link now, and you'd be able to watch the graph of that temperature, and there's actually a graph that's shown, and it shows the graph what the internal and external temperature is while you're cooking that. So we've got no cook set up, so we'll click anywhere on here, move the device closer, low temperature detected. Okay, so it's picked it up now. You can see it's picked it up. So remember it's set on Fahrenheit. So the internal temperature of the meat, I just saw it go up. You can see it's just gone up from 29 to 30. I hope you can see the screen. And the external temperature inside there at the moment is 135. Now that's dropped down a bit because the roast has just come out of the fridge. Ideally you want it to rest for a while outside of the fridge, but and saying that, it was half an hour outside of the fridge, so it's not too bad, but that's why that temperature's come down. But you'll notice on the graph as the time goes on, the temperature will go up. So we need to set up a cook. So we've got a beef and we've got a roast. So there should be a roast here somewhere. Okay, oh there it is, it's right in the middle, I didn't see it. So rib roast, round roast, whatever you want, any one, doesn't matter, you choose. Then you just adjust the temperature to your liking. I'll take it to 150, okay, and then start cook. and that's it. Now I'll be able to sit inside the house there, which is some probably 20 meters away, and I won't need to come back here until that is cooked. Is I can start the meter app on my phone. So now that's connected. The link on here that I can click on, and it'll give you a link to a website, and I could send that link to anyone I want anywhere around the world, and they can monitor the graph on this. I don't know if you can hear that, it's already starting to sizzle away. That's a 1.3 kilo meat. This is the biggest piece of roast I've ever cooked in there. So I'm suspecting probably 2.5, 3 hours. Generally it takes about 2 hours for a 800 gram to a kilo piece of roast. I usually find 2.5 hours if I leave the temperature up on maximum, which is about the same time it takes in your conventional ovens at home. So we'll come back in about 2 hours time and see how it goes. Okay guys, 2.5 hours later, it's starting to get pretty dark, so hopefully you can see me well. So let's go check this. According to my thermometer, this is cooked and ready to come out. If you could smell this. That looks good. So as you can hear, there's plenty of heat inside these ovens. So I'll turn that off. Okay, here we are guys. Let's check it. Now, I like sort of medium rare, so for some of you, might be a little bit too red. So we'll see how we go. So there's plenty of juices in there. You should see the juice just oozing out of it. So my meter thermometer has done its job. So I'll remove that. Now, a good idea to clean these as soon as you've finished them. So, not 100% waterproof, don't dunk them in water. So I just get a sponge, wipe over clean, a wet sponge, clean them off with that, and then dry it with the tea towel. So I gave it a bit of time to rest. So now what we want to do is just trim the string off here.
Yeah, go.
Alright, so you must have tied that string right through the guts, through the middle of this. My mum's just getting in to have the first piece. Ah, too hot, hey mum? Yeah, that's good. Look at that. It's just falling apart. Ah, there we go. So they're cooked in there 2.5 hours. Still more string. So look at that, right through the middle. What's it like, Mum? I've never bought a roast from this butcher before that I went to today. So I'm using my Snow Peak knife today. So my mum's just going to put them back into the little container we've got there now. And I've got veggies that I cooked out before. So I'm going to plate this up now. So I'll show you a couple of shots of the meal plated up. But check that out. I know. And me pet parrot. Yeah, beautiful. So, he doesn't eat meat though. He's not allowed to eat meat. But he just saw it and he thought that looked awesome. So, thanks for watching guys.